We all have a story, and at times we feel we're walking it out alone. Let's pause and think. Join us for honest conversations about adoption and parenting as we lament, encourage, give hope, and explore our true identity and worth in Christ.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Pause and Think. My name is Aisha Lopez, and I'm here with my sister in Christ and fellow adventurer in the things of God and adoption, Jackie Darby. And we're so excited because we have to share a beautiful story of another friend of ours that we met through just miracle after miracle, I would say. And we have Ana Vagnino. She is my fellow Guatemalan and has a bachelor's degree in education with specialization in teaching English as a second language. And she has had the opportunity to travel abroad as an interpreter and translator. And this has contributed a lot to being grateful for the goodness of God in her life. Anna is currently teaching and considers herself a lifelong learner. So welcome so much, Anna. I would very much love to share. Jackie and I were just commenting on how amazing was it that we met. And I would like for you to just share a little bit of how it came to be. Jackie remembers the details, and you certainly do remember the details better than I do. So let's share a little bit about what the Lord has done in your life and is currently doing. But where did it all start with us?
All right, so thank you so much. So first of all, I want to thank you for having me, and also a big hello to everyone watching. And it's such an honor and a gift that we're here. And well, I do remember that I remember our time, Jackie. There's a coffee shop here in Guatemala called I Cafe, and we had a great and lovely afternoon. You listened to me for 2 hours, I guess, and this is because when I got the news back in 2017, spent like 1 year dealing and coping with it by myself, let's say, and of course with God as well. But I needed a person to talk to, someone that is in the context, let's say. And my best friend, she told me, I've heard about Aisha Lopez, and I know that she's in this context. Let's say, why don't you text her or message her or something, reach her out? And I was like, no, don't worry, I don't need it. But however, my friend is the one who sent you a Facebook message, Aisha, and then she copied me the message and the phone number, Jackie's phone number. So I called her right away, and it was beautiful that you answered right away, Jackie. So we met the next day, and that's how it happened.
Well, that's exactly how I remember it happening as well. And I'm just so thankful because we know, we believe, we're women of faith, and we believe that nothing happens by coincidence, and that we believe that God brought us together. But let's
Absolutely.
tell the listeners and the viewers what brought you to the point of reaching out to me. You found out some news that was pretty shocking to you. And that is why you reached out to Aisha, and Aisha reached out to me, and we had that 2 hour meeting in the coffee shop. Can you tell our listeners what news you received the year prior to that left you pretty shaken up?
Mm-hmm.
Can you
Yeah.
explain what that news was and how that came about?
Yes. Thank you so much for the question. It was in 2017. I was in my mid 30s, and I traveled to Chicago. This was because my mother was diagnosed with cancer, and because she was in this situation, she didn't know what was going to happen with treatment and everything. She had no idea what was the outcome. So she decided to reveal to me this news. There was this day. I still remember, like, clearly the moment. We were there, like she was watching TV and I was doing a puzzle because I love to do that. And then suddenly she was sitting next to me, I mean, across me, and she said, um, and I barely heard her voice. And then like, well, what was that? Yeah, I need to tell you something. And like, yeah, yeah, go ahead. What's going on? And then she told me, it's just that I adopted you when you were 1 year or 2 years, no, 1 year and a half years, 1.5 years old or so, let's say. And I was like, again, like, well, I'm sorry, what was that? And then she repeated, and I really, really remember this moment because I've never felt that numb feeling again ever in my life because I couldn't react quickly, but it took me a few seconds to realize what was happening and then to process her words. And then she burst into tears, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I have to do something." And then all I decided to do is to hug her and hold her in my arms, and okay, but I was like, I was not like 100% understanding what was happening, but
Mhm.
Shock.
I
Mhm.
was shocked, and we were there in this apartment, just the two of us. And honestly, the next few days, I felt like a stranger at home. Like I didn't even feel comfortable grabbing some coffee or something. But I was, hey, wait a minute, this is home.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
as time went on, she told me that she acknowledged that she owed me an apology for not telling me this
Mhm.
sooner. And that I
Mhm.
think that was an open door for us to address
Yeah.
the topic.
And just a little caveat here for our, you know, probably the US crowd that's listening to the podcast, or people outside of or Guatemalan or a Latin American context. This is not a rare story. This is not a weird once in a thousand cases. This is a very common occurrence. We've come to find out, and we've seen through the support group and through stories, just people randomly, contacting Jackie, especially. We've come to find out that this is a very common thing, even inside churches in Guatemala, in Latin America. Everyone knows, and the child doesn't know, and then they find out at a funeral or a deathbed. And so we just want to say this is not an exception in our context, and this is why we feel the need to highlight it. And we are so thankful that you are choosing to speak and to be so gracious, and that the Lord is really using your story. And so I just wanted to give a glimpse of why we're doing this, why we're having this conversation.
Yes, and I just want to confirm that, when you and I met, I was so shocked with you. Even though you heard the news way prior to that, I was so shocked with you, and my heart broke for you, because you were living a lie for so many years of not understanding the truth of your story. And just out of the blue, thank the Lord your mom decided to tell you the
Hmm.
truth. But in your 30s, you heard the truth for the first time. And so, Anna, can you explain to us and go into a little more depth, how that, once you started processing that or just thinking about that, just your emotions, and if it played into affecting your identity and your worth?
Well, that's a good question. Thank you for that. And okay, so I spent 6 months in Chicago, and then I came back to Guatemala, and I think that was when I faced reality. Because it was only myself here at home, and she was there in the U.S. We lived just the two of us, and I think that I spent a lot of time with myself. And it was there was a time and space for me to reflect, to analyze my childhood, and I understood many things, that there was something strange, but I was not like, oh yes, I am adopted. No, no, but there was some like details, like for example, um, the fact that I have, in Guatemala, or in the Latin American culture, as I should said, we have the two last names, but the father and mother last name in our names as a full name. And it turns out that I have both of my mom's last names. So, and then I was like, oh, that's why. And honestly, it took me a while to identify what I really felt, because sometimes it was sadness, it was gratitude a lot,
Mhm.
and but mostly a lot of anger. But I was not sure. I was not 100% sure who I felt that anger towards. Um,
Mm.
and honestly, I felt also uncomfortable and bad, uh, that
Mhm.
I was feeling anger, because I should be grateful, and I was grateful. But then I had these all other feelings. So it was a roller coaster of emotions.
Mhm.
And during that time, starting from that was August 2017, that I quit my job in Guatemala and I went to Chicago to be with my mom during her treatment. From that time to 2020, let's say, all those years, because I had to travel back and forth to the US to be with her, I wasn't, I was just studying in the university. So, in a way, I depended on my mom for expenses. So I think that also kind of contributed to me feeling that I was not like a regular adult, let's say, like functional, like that's not the word, but you know what I mean. Like I'm a regular adult, have a job, and I pay my bills and everything, but I wasn't doing that because I couldn't take a job for real, let's say, right? Like a regular job. But the thing is that maybe that contributed. Like I wasn't doing anything with my life. I have not even my last name is my last name. What's my real last name? Let's say. But don't take me wrong. I'm really thankful to God, because I know that it was a gift for me, having the opportunity to be part of a loving family. Um, my mother, she always supported me. But yes, to answer your question, it was a struggle to find my identity as part of a family, part of professionally, realization, let's say.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think that we're all in a process still, and I would say it's fair that you will be you will keep dancing this dance, and like going two steps forward, one step back, and then going forward, because it's just too big. The loss is real, and the uncertainty and everything that it means for you not to have that big puzzle of your origin and your biological family, all the questions, um all the feelings that you have felt. I think part of your healing is naming them, and just being able to say, I was angry, I was very angry, I was sad, I was grateful as well. So it's all the mixture
Yeah.
of feelings, and that's part of the healing process. How would you say your forgiveness journey has been? Because I think it's a journey. It's really it's a decision, and you're walking in obedience to God, honoring your mama, and you want to forgive, and then there's a process involved. So how has that played out for you?
Well, as you were saying, it helped a lot to identify my emotions. But the thing is, had like the 50%, because the other 50% is like, okay, I am angry, but is it towards, and I don't feel comfortable saying this, but we're humans. Is it,
Sure.
I'm angry at God, or
Mhm.
my mom, or what is it? So, I think that I'm still, as you're saying, I'm still in the process, and maybe after 20 years, I will be in the process as well. So, over the time, I realized that the anger I mentioned earlier, of course, was partly directed at my mom because she didn't tell me sooner. But overall, it's because I didn't know this when my grandparents were alive. I had a
Mm.
really close relationship with them, and they were like my second parents. My grandmother was my second grandmother. She passed away also in 2017. So I would live. Uh, my goodness, me estoy trabando. Um, I wish I knew when they were alive, so I could thank them as well,
Mm.
and maybe my relationship would be closer, and maybe we could have different or create new memories or different memories with them. But anyway, maybe that's something that kept me
Yeah.
angry, and also the fact that I think most of my family or my relatives knew
Mm.
about my adoption, and I didn't know it, and I felt like, okay, so am I in a reality show, right?
Mhm.
But
You felt like Truman, like the
yes,
Truman Show.
that's the exactly. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
didn't see the camera anywhere. But yeah,
Yeah. And so do you feel like you are well on your way to forgiveness, or do you feel that you have forgiven your mom and your family?
I understand. Actually, I understood after long conversation with my mother that I understood, and I accept that she didn't want to tell me that because she didn't want to hurt me. So it was out of love. So
Mm-hmm.
it is complex, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
the the idea is, okay, if you love me, tell me the truth. But I know that you don't want to hurt me, so that's why you're not telling me the truth. So it's like a
Mm-hmm.
a loop,
Yeah.
right? But and fortunately, there's no manual with step-by-step instructions for adopting.
No, there's not. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I understand, and the fact that when we know that God forgives us and He forgave us, and I get this by grace, it's my turn to forgive by grace as well.
Mm,
Maybe grace is like a big word
yeah.
for humans,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah. And I got to say, when we launched our book, Whose Am I? Your mom was a cutest. I wish I had more pictures of her with her t-shirt on that you guys made, because I think
yes,
that it's been a healing path for her as well. I think that the cancer was just such a gift in that way. That it brought truth to to you guys, and she's been on a healing journey as well, because it's a burden to keep a secret like that. And
it
so we
was.
were just so overjoyed to see you guys celebrating with us and her just being in the light. And so that was so beautiful.
Yes, and I just see it as God used all things for the good. And despite a really hard, horrible situation with cancer, and
Hmm.
then the truth coming out, God used it for the good because now I know you and your mom have a great relationship. And like you said, you started analyzing it. Okay, God forgave me. So as a Christian, I need to forgive her, extend that forgiveness. And since knowing you and hearing your story in depth, I have watched you and seen how you've extended that forgiveness. And as Aisha mentioned, you guys came to our book celebration. You wanted her to be there, your aunt to be there. So clearly, everything's out on the table and everything is, being talked about truthfully now. So I was wondering if you could maybe name or tell us, just explain to our listeners or whoever's watching, like maybe is there one specific time or special moment where you felt that the Lord really helped you in this healing process?
Oh, yeah, and still, I still see Him. working in me, right? And wait, can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
Can you share with us like one specific time, like that you really felt the Lord helping you in this healing process of understanding the truth about your story, your adoption, and just working through that process? How has God helped you through that?
Thank you. So while we were in the U.S. and with this friend, and this friend that we she opened her house and for us to be there and stay there, and she's like a second family as well, like family in Christ. And one one her friend, um, my friend's friend, let's say, visited her, and we were there, and he's a missionary, and he was there for a while. And one day, actually, it was 2 a.m. in the morning. We were chatting and drinking coffee and like watermelons. We like to drink coffee, and it wasn't the best time. But anyway, we were there hanging out, and then suddenly he said, I think that we better go to sleep. But before that, let's pray. And okay, he was praying, and there was like around 5 people in the room. And then he said, God has given me some words for each of you. And then he began with my mom, and he said, okay, and he prayed for her. And then there was another person that was like, okay, don't look at me, please, no, I'm not here. And then, okay, Anna, you. And then he said, this is, imagine that this is me. This is God talking to you. I know that you're angry, and I know that you're angry at me, and you haven't like run because you're trying to you want to be a good daughter to me, but feel free to express yourself. I see you, and I feel you, and you're not going to offend me by opening your heart, and I am your father.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then this person said, you have to pray for God to reveal to you as a father, not as a
Mm-hmm.
Lord, but as a father. So that's been a process for me to and pray daily. God, show me how to see you as my father, because I never had a father, let's say, like a human father, right? So it's been hard to me to see God as a father, not as a Lord. So I think that was like a new chapter. Okay, God knows that I'm angry, so I
Yeah.
failed hiding my anger, right? He knows how I feel. So
Wow.
that was a crucial moment, let's say.
A crucial moment, definitely. Like so specific and so tender. And that sounds like Jesus. Like the real encounter means real people come to him with everything that it entails. And so I'm so happy that you have those experiences with the Lord. And like you said, it's going to keep on happening because that's the kind of father that he is. Um, and so, given your story, do you think it's a good idea then to reveal adoption as soon as you can?
That's the debate, I guess. Honestly, it is very difficult to determine the which is better at a young age or an adult age. I think that each case is unique, but what I can say is that whatever the parents' decision is, it will be the best or the right one for their children when it is done out of love. I think that love is it's fundamental baseline redundant. I'm sorry, but that's the key, I guess, because as I mentioned before, I understood that because she didn't want to reveal that to the news, my mom didn't want to tell me the truth out of love. But of course, I understand that, and
Yeah.
so I think that that's crucial as well. Like and to build a close relationship, communication is important. So
Yeah.
parents cannot control their children's emotions. Only their children can control. They have control over their emotions. So I think that it doesn't matter if they say it when kids are 3 years old or 5 years old or 10 years old, 20, 35 years old. We have emotions regardless of our age. So I
Yeah.
think that it is like a very specific case. Each
Would you agree, though, with us that you would have liked to have known the truth before the entire family?
Absolutely. Yes,
Yes.
definitely. But now I
That
wonder
you,
if maybe my relationship with my family would have been different. But I think that everything I lived without knowing it, that's what created my personality, the person I am. So, but I think that it would be better to know it sooner than later.
Yeah.
Definitely.
yes.
We really rely on a sovereign God. We understand that in your case, your mom revealed it in your 30s, and that's what's been unraveling, and that's what's been happening in your life. And it's really even foolish to just keep going back to the past and saying
Mhm.
we should have, they should have, she should have. That's unhealthy. But if we have to do it and say something to the parents that are considering adoption, we vouch for the truth and bite-sized portions to the children, you know, at their level, to give them the pieces of their story that are healthy for them to understand and to process through. And I am so happy that you are living in the light now, and that your mom, I'm her, I have her in my heart, because
Thank you.
she definitely was so burdened as a mom. To carry that weight must have been a struggle. And
Mhm.
so I think we don't talk about that part enough. And considering her motherhood being so healed, and her own
Yeah.
story and identity and worth, and just walking in freedom, it must be priceless. So I think it's a combination of being thankful for the sovereign care of God in your on
Mhm.
your life,
Hmm.
and then walking into truth as soon as possible.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And I think
Well,
that
it's an
love can
amazing.
do anything. Love for their children, for parents' love for their children, and seeking God's direction together will make a difference. And I think that there are now many resources for parents,
That's
like
right.
Yeah.
Disney, for example.
And that's the key. The Lord has to walk with us through it all, and we need to hear from Him. But we always stand on truth is the best, the best answer. And so we marvel at your story, how God's worked it out, and He is sovereign. And so I just want to wrap it up. Anna, we met you and God brought you into the support group that is in Latin America, and you have been a very important voice. Your story, every story is so unique, and we are so thankful that you joined the group, that you've shared your story with the others who are in the group, because you have so many important things that, and you're a wise woman that you share with others. And I know you've been a huge encouragement to the others who join. And so, how important has the group been to you when you joined and the times that you've been a part? I know you've even led a group. How has that support helped you in your process as an adult adoptee?
Okay. Well, first of all, to God be the glory, because as I think that I told you before, that God has orchestrated everything in my life and your life and this group's members' life as well. And for us to be in this group is part of His plans, and uh, His mind is higher than ours. And I think that's why you created that group. And I think that it is important to talk to someone that is willing to listen to you, and that is not going to judge you, and someone that is going to tell you, oh, you should be grateful. You've been blessed. We know that. I know it. But someone to listen to you, and maybe I don't understand 100% your story because my story is different, but in a way we can connect because we understand some details that are
Mhm.
similar details in all stories. For example, the grace of God, the love of God, like forgiveness, like very similar things in all the stories. So I think it is important, it is necessary to talk to someone, to be part of a community that we are walking a similar path, not the same one, but we can relate, right? So being part of the group and listening to other stories and just I felt understood, um, and also I was able to, maybe I don't have the answers, all the answers for them, but by sharing my experience and my point of view, I can somehow contribute to their healing process, let's say. So it's
Yes.
a win-win, let's say.
Yes, thank you. And you have definitely contributed to others. I know you've been
I
a
hope so.
huge encouragement. Again, your story is unique in so many ways, but I so appreciate that you've been part of this group. You've been encouragement to me, and I know that we feel so blessed that you were willing and
Mhm.
vulnerable enough to share today with our listeners your story. And we just want to say thank you. Thank you to all of the people who've connected today, who've joined this podcast, Pause and Think. And our heart is to bring encouragement and hope to anybody who listens and to point them to Christ. Because as you mentioned, our Heavenly Father, Anna, we know that our identity and our worth lies in Him and Him alone. And so we just want to say thank you to all who's joining today, listening to this podcast. And we hope that you will join us next time and be encouraged and filled with hope today. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Pause and Think. For more resources and information, go to whosami.org.